What's up, everybody?
What's
Welcome
up?
to the living room. We are so excited that you are here. I am here with Tyler, and as always, I'm your host, Nate, and so I am really glad to be here with you guys and be here with you, Tyler.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, man.
The highlight of my my semester every year. Get invited to the podcast.
The TLR Studios. This is your first time.
The studio is way nicer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I know you saw. I mean, as soon as we posted our first one, you texted me. And you're
I know. I was like, "What's this new studio?" I know. Right? Do they know where it's at? Does the audience know? Do you guys know where this is at?
No, I know. Got the secret.
Okay, it's not ruined the fantasy. It's probably on downtown Providence in one of the skyscrapers. You'll see it at some point. Yeah, Super at the very top floor.
Deluxe suite. Yep, that's us. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be back here with you, and I know we're talking about something that you are very passionate
near
about.
And dear to my heart,
and so I'm excited to get into that conversation. Let's just jump into it. So we get the amazing opportunity to work with college students.
Amazing.
And I know we love them dearly, and
we do. Most of them. 98% of them were all in.
I wanted to start there though, to set up our conversation a little bit, and this is maybe a little bit of curveball for you, but start off on a real great positive. Like, why do we love working with college students? Like what is it about them?
They can change the world. I believe it wholeheartedly. I think I would say this: college students are naive enough to think they can, and if they're moldable, if they're teachable, I think you can teach them and you can help them get to that. And so I think, man, there's no perfect combination of a person where they're stupid enough to think they can do it, and I think talented enough in a lot of ways to be able to go out and change the world. So that's why I love them. They're also a ton of fun. Old people are boring, and as I get older, I worry that I'm going to be that person, so I fight it, and I hang out with college students more and more. So
yeah, I mean, I would echo the same thing. That, like, I mean, it's a ton of fun to see them like get an idea, start. I mean, they believe that they can make a difference in the world, and they can. Like, I don't think it's like disillusionment. Like, I really think they can, and they do. And like being able to guide and help in that, and empower that, encourage that. I mean, there's just nothing better.
Well, in the college campus like space, there's thousands of people at a concentrated area that's more open to ideas and where they're learning things, and they're growing as people. I mean, I could go on and on. I could have a whole podcast just about what's awesome about 18 and 24-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then it's all going downhill after that. I'm kidding. That's just the start.
Yeah. So we love college students, and I just want to make that clear because.
Well, that's why this conversation is so important.
Exactly. I mean,
this is
100%.
I will say this to start off the thought. There is not a conversation that is more important that will derail everything we're talking about, what we just said.
100%.
Then the number one thing that students deal with, which is the number one reason I think that one of the things we deal with because they deal with it, is this topic.
Yes, 100%.
You guys don't know what it is? Do they know what it is? Like the build up? Like, what is it?
What are they going to talk about? I mean, yeah, it is. It is just dating relationships.
It is.
Right. Like, I mean, we see that, I mean, dating is such a key, like, just pressure or point and like desire when you're,
identity.
So much, right? And like, I had Emma and Sarah in here, and we were just talking about like the pressure that comes, like there's just weird pressure in our culture and society that like it's not okay to be single. That like you need to be in a relationship, and so because so many people feel that, because it is a big thing. Yeah, we see that a lot, and we're gonna get into some of the like practical pieces of dating and like dating well and just different things like that. But I wonder if you could just start off with like commenting on some of that pressure that we see, like to be in a relationship, or like just why this is the number one thing that we see. Like what are some of your thoughts there?
Well, I do think it's different between male and female. I didn't have a lot of pressure, honestly, as a male. I do think it's probably more to females. They feel a lot more pressure, but I think male and female both have I don't know about pressures, but they date for so many of the wrong reasons. And I think that comes from college culture, from society, this fact that they're not enough, that somebody else will complete them. That whole line that you complete me is maybe the most damaging thing I've ever heard in dating.
Anna's very passionate about how
Really?
bad that is.
Wow,
I
didn't even.
She's like, you're a whole ass
Yeah,
person. Okay?
you
do not be completed.
I mean, if you think about the reasons why people date, I was thinking about it. I was started like list out like why do people date, and almost all of them, it's because like they want to have fun. They feel like they're missing out on something, which I'm the worst reason, or like they feel lonely, which once again, someone being there, you can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. So like someone doesn't fix loneliness just because you're with other people. I mean, so like you could be alone and be in a crowded room. So like all these reasons they think are going to be the cure. They think dating is the cure, and it's a really good thing. It's a really positive thing. And yet I'm cynical about it. And people on our staff know I'm cynical only because I've seen it derail so many amazing people. It's the only reason. Like it could do the opposite. I've seen it very few times, but I've seen dating just transform somebody even in a better person. And they've been so like there's positives, and I could talk about those, and it's incredible. But I think that's why I get the pressure is they're all negative, and it's all like do this because it'll complete you, it'll make you whole, it'll make you less lonely, and whatever. And they're all lies.
Yeah.
And it just leads you down a dark path.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing that's a challenge is like, I mean, I'm walking through this with several students right now, right? And like, I mean, and that's nothing new, but like, I understand wanting to be in a relationship, right? Like, I mean, I think in some ways, like that is, I mean, that's,
it's a natural thing.
Like,
It's a natural thing. 100%.
Thing.
Yeah.
And so it's not wrong to want to be in a relationship, and you're certainly not saying that. I'm not saying that. I think that like lots of good things in life where it becomes a negative, I don't even want to say bad, but where it becomes a negative and can have bad consequences in our life is when the priority gets out of whack in our life. When we start like dating, being in a relationship is the number one most crucial thing that you need. If you're acting like that, it's going to lead you to make poor dating decisions. It's going to lead you to be in bad relationships, and you're going to be filled with a ton of regrets because you've taken a really good thing, an important thing, and you've elevated it to the thing. And that is what, unfortunately, I see just happen many times. Isn't
that what brokenness is across the board? The society loves to take really good things and then turn them into changing the priority, changing the perspective, whatever, and making them quote unquote bad. Dating is not bad or good. I always say because making dating even a good thing makes people that are single like I'm missing out on something good. And that's just as bad. It's not a good or a bad thing. It is a thing that's natural and something beautiful and something that could really help you, I think, discover more of who you are, but also help you enjoy and spend life and to partner with somebody else in life. And that's the most beautiful thing. Yeah. So it's not good or bad. It's just a thing.
Right.
And it happens all the time in college, and I welcome it. Well, I welcome when it's healthy, and I'm with open arms. I'm very cynical because of how bad we do it. So, but this podcast is going to fix all that. We're here. We have the answers. I'm kidding. That's a bad culture. That's a bad thing. I'm sorry. We do not have all the answers. We're just talking. Sorry.
We certainly have some opinions.
We do. I'm not short of opinions.
We have some opinions. We have some questions that I do think are worth considering. But yeah, I mean, let's jump into this. Like, what is, I guess, some of the ways that you see people go about dating in the wrong way? Like what do people do wrong in dating, and then we'll compare that or contrast that to like positive and healthy dating. But we can start negative because that's maybe juicy. But
well, it's so funny because college students are exactly like when my daughter, we adopted a girl from Ukraine, and I told her from the very beginning, and we adopted a son too, but my son doesn't struggle with this as much as my daughter. Like she just wanted to be in this relationship. And so like I told her the same thing that I tell 22-year-olds all the time. Like you first have to know who you are. Like dating is not going to magically help you. Like I always say this. So I was in math class in high school, and I still remember this. Like my math teacher was trying to tell us how to do this math equation, and it was really hard. And so I did a thing that I love, and it's called trial and error. And I would just plug in numbers into the equation, and it would be wrong. And I'm like, that's not it. And it would take me 5 times as long, but eventually I'd get the right answer. And I still remember this. My professor saying like, hey, how'd you get that answer? And I said, trial and error. And he literally looked at me and goes, he's like, what the hell is that? And I was like, it's a method. where you try something. If it doesn't work, you do something else. And he was so upset. And I think dating is not a math problem. I'm not saying that. But the trial and error way of dating is maybe the worst. Because it's going to take 5 to 10 times as long. And you go through so much pain before you get it right. And so I feel like if you don't know who you are and you're going to try to figure out who you are by dating, it is going to be disastrous for you, for the person you're dating. It's maybe going to be good eventually. But you're going to hurt a lot of people in the process. And I feel like I can't tell you how many students say that. Like, oh, just by making mistakes, you got to make mistakes. And that's true. Well, disclaimer, you're going to make a lot of mistakes in dating. That's beautiful. Learn from those mistakes. That's life. That's not what I'm talking about.
Just because you're going to make mistakes doesn't mean you need to go in like planning to make mistakes or being like, or I guess like accepting them. Like, I mean, and I get what you're saying then, like, I mean, because that's certainly the thing that I hear all the time. Like, well, you just got to try and stuff. But if you, I mean, I can speak from some of my experience that like I dated, trial and error.
Wow,
I did trial and error, and I just date whoever would come along, right? And that I found attractive in that moment and whatever. But none of those were ever healthy, right? Like,
for you or for them or for their friends.
Right,
There's so many people that are hurt by that.
Right. And so like, and I certainly, I mean, time, money, emotional energy. I mean, there's so many things in there. But then when I finally was like, the next person I date, I'm going to date in a healthy way. I took like almost a year off from dating. It's like 10 months, and then like learned and grew a lot and like all those things. And then at that point when I met Amanda, and I didn't know she was gonna be my wife at that time, but met Amanda,
I did
like
immediately. I was like,
that's not true. We'll share that story in a second. But when I met Amanda, I was like, I literally remember this, like before we officially dated, I had just I put it all out there. I was like, listen, here's who I am. Here's what's important.
This is my purpose. This is my mission of what I want my life to be about.
And like, and I like you. Like, we have fun together, but like, if we're on different pages here, like, let's just call it.
It's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. Hey, we're going different places.
Right.
You do you.
But I just knew, and it's funny, like the thing that, like a lot of these things, like, there can be a lot of big ideas and stuff, but they can be symbolized in like something small. And the small thing was for us is that I was like, and one of those things about me is I just don't want you to text me. Okay. Like, just don't text me. Like,
seems like a you problem.
It is. Well, it was a little bit. I was like, and not that this is like bad, and I don't want to throw shade on the person that I was, but like the previous person I dated would text me all day, every day, right? And I was just like, Amanda, I don't want that. And Amanda's like, that's fine. I don't like texting either.
I don't even like talking to you. It's fine.
And so it's just been a joke in our relationship that I'm like, you can text me sometimes. Like you can, it is okay to occasionally text me. Like, I know I said in the beginning, don't ever text me, but
that's when you're married, that's off the table. You can text each other now. That's great.
Like, it'd be nice if you answered my text.
Great. That'd be great. Like, we should be friends.
At some point, it would be nice if you answered my text. But I say all that to just say that, like, yeah, I mean, it certainly is, like, I think most people don't even, like, they have an idea of their standards, but they haven't like actually like started applying that, or like, I mean, I literally wrote mine down. I was like these are what is important. And if they don't match these things, like I was gonna be nice about it, but be like, we just shouldn't date because it's gonna get me off track.
Well, and there's
time and your time. There's
values, and then there's like things you look for. I don't know if I'm for like some people are so like write out what you want in a spouse, and some are just like I want them to be good at sports and like stupid, like things. Like, my wife is the complete opposite of me. So like, it doesn't have to be like, for me it was values. Like, what do I value? Yep. And if you don't know your values, you shouldn't be dating, because everybody has them. Every single person, like, you may not have them written down, but you value something, or at least multiple things. And if you don't know what that is, that's a big red flag. One. Two, like, I knew the 3 or 4 values I wanted in my life. I wanted to live this generous life. I wanted to live, this act of like helping redeem the world and put the world back together again. Like, these were values that I wanted. And if my spouse didn't, or my person I dated didn't even have that in the beginning, it's one, not fair that eventually they're going to get there because you're kind of like molding somebody to become more like you. And I don't think that's necessarily good or healthy. Hopefully you're going to
put an expectation on them.
Exactly. That's unfair. And so in the beginning, you should figure out what your values are. That should be a conversation in the first couple dates. Like, I'm not saying you should like not date somebody at all. I think first couple dates, what do you love? What do you not love? What gets you up in the morning? If that is so far away from your value system, it is a red flag. And I hope we're going to talk about this, but as Christians do this so badly, and it hurts because one, they date people. I don't know if we're allowed to say this first, but Christians, the number one mistake they make is they date people that don't have the same, not just religious views. That's so little. Christianity, we believe, if we believe that really Jesus did what he did, like it affects everything how we see the world. It affects dating, it affects like our generous with our money, our life, our free time, how we want to, where we want to live, how we want to live, everything. And for you to date somebody that doesn't have that value system, everything is different. And so there's people on this podcast, I will look you right in the eye. If you are a person that says, I want to follow Jesus, dating somebody that has the complete opposite view of that, or even like, I don't really know what I believe, I think is dangerous, 100%. And I think I want my students to hear it because so many of them are like, no. And I know stories of people like they dated somebody who did not have that value system and they end up becoming more like them, which is great. They become Christians, whatever. That's just self. We don't date people for people to become Christians. I've heard
You're a tool.
You are a tool. That's one, a horrible way to put an expectation on somebody. And two, it usually goes the opposite. It hurts. It's either you become someone like them, which I would say is bad, but also you end up having to break their hearts later on down the road because eventually you're like, well, we want to get married and we're too different. So we walk away. And they blame Christianity. And nothing bothers me more. That it was not Jesus that broke you up. It was your stupidity and your very lack of values that you knew, lack of clarity. And I get very upset. And so I hate that Christians get dragged through the mud too often in dating. And we're the problem so often. Like we use dating as a weapon of like, oh, you're not the same values. Now we got to break up. And you should have dated in the first place.
Yeah. You should have said that early on.
Yeah. I'm looking right at you. This is serious. Almost all of my students do that. And also what happens, I'll tell you this, they end up falling in love because it happens. And then what do? You have to sacrifice either the person that you love or a value system that you want to live your life by. And those two, when they go different ways, someone's always hurt. They're hurt, you're hurt, the mission is hurt. And I'm not just talking about Christian, like anything. It could be your value of, I want to be a school teacher because I want to pour into kids. If you're dating somebody who's like, I just want to be really rich and live wherever.
To a teacher.
Yeah. Those are completely different value systems. And so I think faith is just one element that you need to talk about, not just because it's not just about your beliefs in God or not God. I think it's beliefs on everything.
Yeah.
So that's my soapbox. It's really important.
So it's really funny that
may be too early to jump into that. It's just
it's really important because I think that is the mistake we see people making is that it's, it is, you said that it's not just religion or your faith, it's your values. And I think that's super important. And it's funny because we should share the story now. Let's just start in the beginning. How did you, we'll make it personal. How did you feel when I told you that I was interested in dating Amanda?
That's not totally fair. One, our group is much bigger now, but at the time, Sojourn on Rhode Island College was 3 people.
And I was dating half the girls.
You were.
It was 1.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm frustrated because we all know when people don't date well, it breaks up friend groups sometimes, social groups. I only had 3 students in our ministry at the time, and you dated one of them. And I was like,
I was dating a third.
Exactly. And you were the other third. This is not a great way to grow a group on campus. So yes. I was not gun ho about it, I'll say.
Yes.
And I don't know where that expression comes from, by the way. It's an old person expression. I'm not on board.
Gung ho.
I'm from the Midwest. Gosh dang it.
Here's why I asked that. Not to just set you up and be like, oh,
sometimes it goes well. I'm just
dating. The reason that I asked that is that Amanda and I, we did something and this was I don't know if you probably gave me this advice.
I
but,
coached you well. Let's be honest.
But honestly, I wasn't listening, and I don't remember.
No
that.
students do either.
But,
It's shocking. Hasn't changed in 10 years.
But Amanda, so this was one of the key foundations of our relationship that I mean, I think helped us have that values conversation. And it's really fun how it all came together. Amanda asked me to go. This is when we'd been on a date or two, and like we were talking, right? And Amanda asked me to go see a comedian with her, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course.
It's hit or
right?
miss, but yeah.
I mean, I'd go anywhere she asked me to at that point, right? Or just about.
Probably not healthy, but cool.
Anyway, so we go see this comedian, right? Well, it was not a comedy at all. It was a talk. I'll never forget it. It was called "How to Get Naked." Okay.
Wow.
Okay. All right. And it was.
It's not that hard. I literally, I could probably teach you pretty quickly if that's.
The subtitle was how to have like important or vulnerable conversations with your partner, right? Go. And the whole idea was that the getting naked was a metaphor for like he kept talking about how you need to get naked if you're in a relationship.
It's true.
Okay.
Gotta be naked.
But it was like
take your clothes off, be vulnerable.
You need to be vulnerable, share your values
physically and spiritually.
And like on a emotional, spiritual, personality level, like you needed to share with the other person that, and he talked about it. He was like, you owe it to the other person to be clear about, here's who I am.
Yes.
Here's what's important to me, because otherwise they're dating a fake version of you.
Agreed.
And
I think love's gonna fix. That's another mistake we make. That love will fix the gap that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
In the pit of hell, right there. The love does not cover a gap that. I mean, it can cover it. It's just gonna make you guys both people that are not like. Even if you compromise, you're compromising on values that you want, and you both become people you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wins.
And I mean, I remember him doing a Q&A with people, and a girl being like, yeah, there's like this thing I've been hiding from my boyfriend and stuff forever and stuff, and it's a key part of me. And I remember the speaker being like, see, you've been dating for 6 months, and this boyfriend has no idea this key core part of you. He's not actually dating you.
Agreed.
He's dating a fake you.
Yes.
And you were covering up a key part of you. And so it's so funny. I mean, it's super awkward because I'm like,
tell him. You're like heckling them.
Oh no, not just that. I'm like, why did Amanda invite me?
She wanted to go home and be like, I gotta tell you something.
She's like, I need to talk to you about something. And she did all this under the ruse of it being a comedy. But after that talk that we heard, I mean, we had just, it's weird to say it, but a getting naked conversation where we
got naked with Amanda. I understand.
Emotionally, and just like our personalities and what we valued. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what we were sharing with each other was our values, and did they line up? And because they did, like, we kept dating. But I'll never forget that. And that is as awkward of a. I think you wrote a book with that title, and I think trying to catch
catchy title.
Students, like getting naked.
I'd pick it up.
Like, I actually just saw it. I actually just saw it in a bookstore the other day. Awesome. I meant to buy it, but anyway, yeah. I mean, having that values conversation, whether you call it getting naked or not,
I feel like though, my experience, which I feel like I'm an expert because I deal with it on it, but I don't have a degree in everything, but I see it on a daily basis. And I feel like it's not mostly that like people know who they are and they're hiding it as much as they just don't know who they are at all.
Yep. And
I think that's worse. I mean, I don't know. They're both really bad. It's careless if you don't know who you are and you're just, let's figure it out. And that's what the hookup culture in general, it's like, let's just do something physical, whatever. It's just have no strings attached. And that's another whole conversation that's like, the damage of that is unbelievable as well. But like, we've kind of just morphed that into dating. Let's just date without like any seriousness and just see what happens. And I think that's too casual
these days.
You what?
You know the term these days? Situationship.
Oh, I'm just not as cool. And you don't know these inside words.
I've just seen it on TikTok.
Oh, okay. Well, that's got it.
But no, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, like, there's the idea is, yeah, you don't really know who you are, or you're just like, we'll just figure it out together. And like, it's your trial and error method. I mean, it
Well,
is.
this is really important too. This maybe it's a sidetrack, but like this is why I think as Christians, this is why we do it so wrong as in general.
Mm.
This is because either you take it too casually and you act like it's no big deal at all. You act like there's no spirituality or emotional whatever in relationships, and you just like, I'm having fun. I'm just playing it by ear. You're playing with people's hearts and lives and emotion. Like it's just too much for you to take it casually. I think that's what, or what so many Christians do the opposite, and they make it like too spiritual. Like I'm not going to kiss or, and I'm not saying if you don't kiss until you're married, whatever, it's for you. I think that's also extreme. I think we go to the extreme in making it all about spiritual, like it's all about spirituality. We're going to be on the same mission field. There'll be like, and there's a level of like, you need to figure out who you are and who the person is by dating and making mistakes. There's a part that's like, lighten up a little bit. It's okay to like have fun because relationships should be fun. You should find the person attractive. These things as arranged marriages, I'm not super for because I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's like, it's okay to have fun and be attractive and all that. Like there's a middle, like we make everything so spiritual or so casual. And I think there's a mixture of both. And it's a beautiful thing when it's done well. Just so rare. Except we obviously did it well, but
I just crushed it.
Just anyway, it's, that's why I'm passionate about this.
Well, yeah, then what are, I guess, like some ways that you've seen it done well, or that you would like speak of it in the positive, that like, what is some encouragement that you would give somebody that like, I hear you, like, I don't want to be the person, whether they're Christian or not, they're like, I want to make sure that I date well. Like, I mean, part of where I see this happen a lot is like, I have seen students come to me and they're like, the way it usually starts is, I'm so sick of men. or I'm
as I go to you, the man, to talk about it.
I'm like, what's up? Or I'm so sick of girls, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And like there does come a point of frustration where it's like, this way that we're doing it isn't working.
Yeah.
Right. And so for somebody that's in that spot, or they want to make sure that they do date well, like what encouragement would you give them?
Well, I'm going to go off topic a little bit. I do think one way to do it well is one, you can find yourself not just by dating. There's tons of ways you can find yourself. Like take an internship and take a risk, join a social club, do something daring, like go on a trip where you're getting outside your culture. Like there's some really positive ways to figure out who you are without like hurting other people. Like you failing at an internship is not going to hurt anybody. It's I tried something, it's not for me. Great. Like, so one, I would lean into, not that you shouldn't date. I'm just saying one way is also to figure out who you are by not playing with other people's hearts and emotions and all that stuff. But with dating, I think I always say this: college is not the best time of your life. It could be, but it's just the most unique time of your life. I always say that. Like, it's not like I don't buy into like the world's downhill after college. Like it's amazing. You have so much fun.
Say that earlier. You're lying. Then.
Yes, I don't think did. I say that? Anyway, I think it's the most unique time of your life, not necessarily the best time of your life.
Yep.
But I will say, like, find somebody like that understands the uniqueness of the situation of where you're at. You're in college. You have tons of people. Like, if you can find somebody that, like, once again, how people I've seen it done really well is they utilize the opportunity that they have. They can, like, man, we have so many friends. Like, how many people have you found that start dating and you never saw them again? Like, they all the time is because they're missing the unique opportunity that they have. First of all, one of the values should be, I want to find somebody that's going to take advantage that we're with tons of people. We can impact on a positive note. We can be generous with our time and our money and our maybe lack of money, our creativity, all that kind of stuff. Find somebody that believes in that as well, because too many people waste their college years by dating and finding who they are and never finding themselves and just finding a lot of pain. So I think that's the first thing. I'm going to find somebody that understands the uniqueness of the opportunity that you have is really positive. Like I said, writing out your value system. Like if you don't know what it is, write down the 4 or 5 things that make you who you are. If you should be asking other people close to you, like, hey, what do you see in me that I should be living my life? And not because you're going to take it because they say it. It's just, this is what I've seen in you over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of your life.
Right.
We don't do that. We're too scared. We're too scared to figure out who we are too. We're like, what if like they're going to say something I'm not really going to like, or that I don't like who I am? That's a problem. So I think these exercises before you even get to dating are going to really lead up to finding the person that you want. How I have so many. Like, I can't stand students that love to talk about why they're single and yet they've never taken a risk ever.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm.
I think this is really important. I think females in this culture can now ask men out. It happens all the time. But when women are like, a lot of Christian women are like, it's not me. I'm going to sit back. And if a guy wants to ask me, great. If not, I'm never going to pursue it. I think it's okay not to pursue it. If you don't want a relationship, fine. But when you're complaining about being single and you haven't taken a risk, if you haven't tried to get out of your comfort zone, learn about yourself, learn about other people, those are huge red flags of you want something just to kind of happen and it doesn't just happen.
Right.
There's so many little things that I feel like we need to be better at.
I mean,
what about you?
I mean, yeah, something that like just stands out in what you're saying is that like definitely, we keep harping on the values, but that is so key. But I mean, I think one of the reasons we don't do it, like you touched on this, I think we're scared. Like vulnerability is so key here, and it's so interesting to me that like I think that a lot of the pain and mistakes that happen in dating are trying to avoid vulnerability or trying to like. I mean, we've talked about that like if people if I show who I truly am, what if they don't accept me?
Agreed.
Right. And the thing is, Brene Brown has tons of information and talks about this a ton and big fan. But like, you cannot truly connect unless you're vulnerable.
Mhm.
And you can't really be vulnerable if you don't know who you are and get into that. And so, like, I think what a lot of people need to do before they start dating is get a therapist.
We have lots of podcasts about that as well.
Go to therapy. Like maybe instead of a date, put a date on the calendar with an old counselor. Okay?
So I don't want to be the person that says like become friends first, because let's be honest, that's what my parents used to say. I don't know if it's outdated. It's good advice, but like there's an exercise that we do in Sojourn a lot where it's called lowering the waterline, and I love it. It's just we only show, just like an iceberg, we only show a tip of who we are to pretty much the rest of the world. And then there's a little bit lower to a little bit group of people, and then maybe a little bit lower with like our family, whatever. But very rarely do we show who we exactly are, the whole iceberg, to anybody in our life.
Yeah.
And like you said, like to do it well, like you can date anybody and never show an iceberg. It happens all the time. And I think it's horrible. They don't last, and it always brings pain, always. But like, if you're not living vulnerably with anybody, like dating is probably not the right step. Like there's so many steps you could take, like find a friend and this lower, like I love this exercise because it's not like show the whole thing. That's super, like getting completely naked is too much. Just take a shirt off. I just emotionally take your shirt off and just see what, like, if you're not doing that with anybody, you're not ready to be in a relationship, because dating is hopefully moving forward, and it doesn't have to move forward super fast. I have no, like some people say it has to be like within a year. If you don't know, leave. Like I don't have timelines for any of this. Like it's not a math equation. Everyone's different. Everybody has different traumas to things they're dealing with. I will say if you've been dating for a very long time and no movement is happening, there's a problem. There's a red flag. There should be movement always happening in a relationship. But if you can't do that, even in a friendship with your own family, whatever, you're just, hey, something you should find a therapist and figure out why you're so sheltered, fear, whatever is keeping you back.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I know that like at least when I share these things, the pushback that I get, pretty much is summarizing like just talking about how outdated.
Yes, I'm old. Yes, you're old.
Okay,
you don't know what you're talking about. Culture's different now.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Just
people haven't changed. Okay. Just so everybody knows, people are the same.
Yes.
We have different fears, different things. We're all the same. We have the same fears, by the way. It just changes what it looks like.
Yeah, the circumstances change and stuff. And I mean, what I really say to that, what really I think drives home there is, I would say, I mean, if you look at how culture and society dictates we date, and if you've had experience in that, I mean, is that working well? Like I would ask the question, like is the way that we're supposed to date, is that going well?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's
right.
not. Okay.
100%.
And so, and it gets even more, and I don't want to say you're insane, but it
You
does
just look
get,
at the camera
but it does take
like
you.
if you're
But
wondering, yeah.
I don't want to say that like that people who do this are insane. However, I would just encourage them and caution them to think about this, that if you keep dating the same way without making differences, like what do you expect is going to be different?
Mhm.
Like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you're like, I don't know why it continues to
It's
suck. Like
crazy. I just keep
dating
getting
bad
hurt. I
people,
don't know
okay?
what's
Like
going
I
on.
don't know why. Well, hello, like I
Is this
mean,
thing on? That's good.
okay, like maybe you need to change what you're doing,
Yes.
you know, and so I know that that's not fun, and I know that, I mean, I understand that it seems different, but this is,
And
but
we got it wrong too. Like,
oh yeah,
I want to be humble enough to be like, I know a lot of the things we know now is because we made these mistakes
right,
and thinking
yeah,
my parents were crazy. Like,
right,
you only date your best friends. Like, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Like, I'm just going to date random people and that's what figure it out. And
I mean,
no commitment. It's just,
100%, and I mean that's what I led with, is that like, I mean, none of my dating relationships were good, or ended on a
until you met
positive
me
note
and then helped you
until
find Amanda. You're
yeah,
welcome.
something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I know that it's a challenge, and I know that it seems so different than what everyone else is doing, and it is different. But don't you want different results than what everybody else is getting?
Yes.
And so, if you do, I think you need to do something different. Um, as we start heading towards wrapping up, like, I mean, I know, like, I know that there's lots of strong opinions about dating, and I I can hear people being like, "Hey, you just Tyler, you just don't understand my
We're just bitter old men that just
bitter." And maybe, but
it's only because we've seen too much hurt of our students go through this until they've gotten it right. Because some of our
100%.
students have gone through horrible relationships
Mm-hmm.
and we've told them,
Yep.
you've also dated a jerk, but you also put yourself in a situation where you just didn't ask the right questions, all this. But like, now I know I can name multiple students that are in amazing relationships now that have finally figured it out. So
Yep.
there's hope. Like, that's
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
a horrible, horrible person. And then you got your stuff together and found Amanda. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
She didn't complete me though.
Well,
right? I was a whole person.
we're still working on you.
So no, but I was gonna just end with just asking you, like, yeah, what are some final thoughts or encouragement you would have for somebody that wants to date?
Well, it's a good thing to end on is this. Like, I do think dating has potential. I'll tell you a story of a maybe they're watching. I don't know. So, Krista and John, they were students I knew a long time ago, and when I met them, they were married in college. It's crazy. Like, I don't advise that at all. There's so many.
That. I also don't advise it.
Those people are crazy. And at first, I was really skeptical. Like, why would you get like? Why not wait? I had so many questions. And as I sat down with them and I just got to know them more, they were in college and like how they were living their life was one of the most amazing things. Like that, my very first experience really in campus ministry was this couple, and they invited people over to their house. They had a little tiny house off campus because they're married and like had no money. And they did a weekly dinner every single week, inviting their friends, like both their friends from their because they were still going to school, like from the people they met at the classes, and they invited them into their home and they'd have a dinner. And it was like the cheapest, like spaghetti and meatballs. That's all they had money for. And it was beautiful. Like they used their skill sets, their passion, their home, their situation, their opportunities, like to serve and be generous because that was your value system. And it was like, I had a really positive view when I come into campus ministry about dating because of these two. Like, this is incredible. I saw something really, and so like dating could unleash you to do even more powerful things, to love people and to, and maybe your mission or your vision, your value is not to love people. But whatever, like when you find the right person, it's going to help you become more of who you are and better versions of you. And they're going to be able to call you out and make you better. That's beautiful. There's nothing better than finding. And so dating could be a thing that is a catapult to you living the life you want. And hopefully marriage and hopefully all that. It also, I became cynical over the years because I thought that was like, everyone does that's perfect. And it was so not the norm. And so I guess my positive note is just like, man, I'm not saying when you find the right person even, but when you date well, it's a beautiful thing. And it's going to be pain because there's always pain when you're vulnerable. But like, I think through that, you are going to learn more about yourself in a healthy way and not like trial and error, just like, oh. So that's what I'd say. I'd say there's hope that there really is a good way to do it. I'm not going to say you're going to get it right the first time. You're going to fail. You're going to be broken. You're going to hurt people. They're going to hurt you. But I feel like when you do it the best way possible, at least the most effective way possible, where you're being vulnerable, but not also going all in. Like another thing people do is they go all in way too fast. Like slow down, get to know the person before you literally share your entire iceberg. It's okay to like,
just take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off. Slowly, emotionally. So these are just things I've learned. And so that's my positive thing is, man, it could change your friendships, like in a good way. Cause we know stories of it changing your friendships in a bad way. Like I've never seen them. They're never around. It could, like when you do it well, gosh, your friendships are going to be better. Your relationships going to be better with other people. The values are going to get increasingly better, all that. So that's my note of hope moving forward.
Yeah. I mean,
it's fun. It's really fun.
It is.
Making out is so much fun, Nate.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like it is. It's one of those things that like it's where we started. Like there's a ton of potential there, and sometimes that potential comes out in really good, healthy, positive, building up ways. Unfortunately, too often we see the other side of that, and through any of the bitterness or the intensity and
not
stuff.
bitter at all.
Okay, just through any of that, just passion. It comes from that. I know, like we want to see people make better decisions and have better outcomes in their life. And
Sojourn weddings are the best.
They are
literally the best.
They are. They really are.
And when they're not horrible, but like when the couple's amazing, there's no better celebration.
I know. I 100% agree.
We get to do weddings a lot in our jobs, and it's a blast.
It is, but it is. And we want to see more of that and less of the heartbreak.
100%.
Less of the heartbreak. And I think that paying attention to your values and sticking to that, lowering the waterline.
I think you say lower the expectations. No, lower the waterline, take your shirt off. I mean, that's the title of this podcast.
Lower the waterline and take your shirt off. Just jump in.
Just jump in. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, no, I think these are all really, really positive ways to date in a healthy, positive way.
I'll also say, if anybody tells you like a 3-step process to dating, like a book, like there's a lot of books on the market about dating, and I'm very skeptical of all of them. Like unless they give value, like stuff like this, like just beware of this. Like those are like there's guidelines that you could 100% implement in healthy relationships, but there isn't no one could tell you this is the way to do it. Go online, do this. Even though I did, it was super easy. I found a date, I found a girl, and I'm married to her, so it's easy. But like
sometimes people do get lucky.
Well, of course. She got lucky. I'm just saying I will refuse to ever say this is the right way, this is the wrong way. I just think there are guidelines to make it more effective or less messy and less pain. But there's definitely different ways. So we didn't talk about that at all because there's so many different ways you can do it.
Oh, for sure.
Not about but there's just a variety online too. I'm not against dating somebody you don't know, as long as you set a line of like, eventually after so many dates, you're starting to figure out, do you want to continue with this or not? So anyway, I'm not just saying marry your best friend. That's weird. I mean, that's great if it happens, but we don't have that luxury so often.
No, for sure. As we wrap up, I will say that in our description, I will list some resources that we found really helpful. Not books that give you a 1, 2, 3 step process, but some more of those that actually give like some guidelines. And so if you're interested in that is, we'll link some of those on YouTube, and there's podcasts and all that stuff. So we'll make sure to link all that. But listen, we know dating's hard. Okay. It's not easy.
Except for me, it was really easy. But I understand for everybody else, it's really hard. My story's pretty funny, by the way. Anyway.
Well, we'll share the next episode. Okay.
It's going to be awesome.
Okay. I'll give people a reason to come back. But yeah, in the meantime, what's the most important thing people need to do? You live right in that. Stay classy? No. I think it's to stay awesome. That's it. Stay awesome, my friends. Bye. Should be stay classy. No. Stay awesome. That's Ron Burgundy's. No. That's yours. You're like, I'm Nate Felco. It's true. Okay. You should say like, get Felco. I mean, I used to. Okay.